Wade, we're here at Thurston Wolfe Winery in Prosser, Washington, and harvest is winding down. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how the grapes have come in and what you got left to go?
Well, it's like many vintages, it's unusual and unique, but we started out, looked like it was going to be a very early vintage. We had fruit ripening very quickly into August. It was warm then. September turned out, or early September, warm. And then September cooled off, and we've had a very cool, cloudy, showery October. So that's definitely slowed down the picking, but we are getting pretty close to finishing up. I think most people are working on their late maturing reds like Cabernet and bringing the Riesling in.
You just brought in some Cab yesterday, you said?
Cab, last of our Cabernet yesterday. We have just two varieties left to bring in, our Petite Sirah from Zephyr Ridge and then Touriga from Colin Morell's vineyard near Benton City.
Well, let's talk first about the Petite, because people have heard of Petite Sirah because there's a lot of it in California, but it's kind of unusual still in Washington.
Well, it is, although there's increasing interest by growers and wineries. I know of several growers that are starting to plant it. We planted our first Petite Sirah in 1995 at the Burgess Vineyard, and then we used that wood to propagate to our Zephyr Ridge Vineyard in 1997. Excuse me, yeah, 1997. And so we're into about our sixth vintage of the Petite Sirah there. Really love the variety. We use it, or started using it, to put in our port and to blend with Zinfandel, and now we make a varietal Petite Sirah. I think it's an exciting variety for Washington State now that we have a little better handle on where to grow red varieties, particularly some of the more sensitive ones to winter cold.
And we're starting to see more Petite Sirah showing up on labels. I've seen it from Arborcrest and from Porteous and a few others. So it looks like a few guys are jumping on that idea. So
yeah, as I said, I know several growers that are just planting at wineries, even this year, making their first vintage Petite Sirah. So we will be seeing more of it. It's probably not going to be a big variety like Syrah or Cabernet Sauvignon, but along with some of the other niche varieties like Tempranillo and the lesser Bordeaux and Rhone varieties, I think will have its place here in Washington.
Touriga Nacional is a whole different kind of grape.
Right.
We see it in ports,
yep,
but we don't see a lot of it in the Northwest.
No, again, there's starting to be interest in the port varieties. Most typically, the Touriga Nacional is the one that people do first or do the most of. They're experimenting with some of the other ones like Suzhou and Tinta Cao and Tita Ruiz. And now that there's more interest in classical port style wines, again, it's another variety that people are planting in small quantities, and wineries that are interested in port are experimenting with. And it's an interesting grape variety, very late ripening, makes a very soft table wine. If you make it into a table wine, tannins tend to be real low, and this is one of the reasons why I like blending Petite Sirah in it with my port. It gives it a lot more tannin and structure.
Driving up to the winery today, I couldn't help but notice the neighborhood really has grown up with with Airfield and Olson and the Winemaker Loft. It's some beautiful wineries.
Yeah, and we have another one under construction. The Milbrandt brothers are going to do a tasting room here, and definitely with the other wineries opening here this summer, we've seen a significant increase in traffic and customers. So it's a very positive mood, and what we intended or hoped would happen with having a concentration of wineries at this one location. We've actually come up with a formal name for this area. It's called Prosser Vintners Village. So, and we're have a infant association. We're going to start doing some co-promotion for the village through advertising and other means here.
And you have a Starbucks, so there is some civilization here, right?
Yeah, and we actually have two nice restaurants that have just opened here recently in Prosser, and so I think there's a third one scheduled. So definitely we're getting to have some of the nice amenities that go along with the wine industry.
As someone who's had a winery here in Prosser for 2 decades now, it's got to be nice to see things catching up with probably a vision that you had a long time ago.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a huge amount of growth, a lot of interest now in Prosser. we're very centrally located in the entire wine industry. So whether people are going to the Rattlesnake Hills or to Walla Walla, we're nearby, or they have to go by us. So it's a very nice location and situation to be in for the tourist activities.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Wade.
You bet, Andy.